Here we go, finally ticking off this really unusual flight. Cheers. Most of us will have flown on an Airbus A321 before. Over 2,500 of these aircraft are in service right now and mostly operate short-haul flights across the world for all sorts of airlines, from low cost to legacy. I've flown the A321 over 60 times on all sorts of airlines in so many parts of the world, in America and Asia, Europe and South America, and from the very lowest cost flight I've ever taken all the way up to the longer haul versions operated by some big airlines with some very fancy business class cabins. It's a very versatile family of aircraft, and in this video I get to do something unusual. Airline watchers will know that over the last 4 years, SAS has been taking delivery of new A350 aircraft for its long-haul operations, but it's also been buying these A321LRs, capable of over 4,700 miles of flying, an astonishing aircraft very far from the examples churning out short-haul holiday flights in Europe. Its narrow-body peers are the 737 MAX and the now venerable 757, but today it's the A321LR which we're travelling on from Copenhagen to Washington DC, the world's longest narrow-body flight. I'll show you what it's like, from the lounge at the airport to the stunning cabin on board, all the food, the amenities, and I'll let you know how I feel about narrow-body planes flying long-haul routes. This isn't my first rodeo. Let's get straight into the facts. Today's huge route is 4,063 miles long and will take us over 9 hours to complete. Until recently, unthinkable an A321 could take us this far. Strap in and enjoy the video. I'm lucky enough to be doing this monster narrow-body journey in business class. And one of the perks of business class is you get to go in the lounge. So let's check that out. The SAS Lounge in Copenhagen is in Terminal 3 near the sea gates and operates a 2-tier concept: business class downstairs and the better frequent flyer lounge upstairs, which is kind of lucky, as it's only because of this I realised I forgot something very important to me.
So I change in both systems.
That's perfect. Appreciate the help, thank you. It's only because the gates wouldn't let me go upstairs into the frequent flyer only section of the business lounge I realised I hadn't actually added my number to collect points. Whoops. But with all that sorted, I was free to explore this big space which does all the simple things well without being too flashy. There's lots of alcohol on offer here, although it's the morning and I don't really subscribe to the idea that it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I settled for a more pedestrian apple juice and cold breakfast, as I'd been up since 4 AM thanks to an early connecting flight. More on that later. Plus, avoiding this scrambled egg seems like a good idea to me. I've always enjoyed visiting this lounge. It's got a very quiet vibe to it, and I've always been able to get one of these guest offices to send some emails or make a call in peace. There's a shower here, of course. It's actually downstairs in the regular business lounge, and you need to see the staff for the key, but it's always a great feature to have. How cool is this? You can actually listen to your own music while you're having a shower. Never seen that before in an airport. Sadly, the lounge doesn't have any airport tarmac views, but you do get to see all the buses come and go. Another Flixbus trip sometime, maybe? So today's gate is E136. That's in the non-Schengen part of the terminal. So we've got to go through passport control, which is just over there. Now, the last time I was in this part of the airport, I was actually taking a wide body on a short haul route, Singapore Airlines from here to Milan. And today I can't wait to meet the small narrow body aircraft that's going to take us over 4,000 miles to Washington, DC. Ooh, outdoor area. Now, I'm not complaining about the outside terrace. I love a bit of outside space at an airport, but sod's law, not only is my gate the furthest one from the lounge, but the aircraft is hidden behind all of that gubbins there. Absolutely typical. This part of the terminal serves only long-haul flights, and it's very quiet. There's not much to do here other than admire the proper long-haul planes. Wide bodies like the A330 and A350, which aren't due to fly until later in the afternoon. The boarding agent did a quick security check on me and asked if I'd been with my hand luggage all the time, and I said yes, and she called me a good boy. Could choose to feel patronised, but I guess I still got it, hey? Right, we are off to Washington DC. It's 9 hours, 30 minutes on this little narrow-body aircraft across the pond. I can't wait for it. A quick reminder, as always, that subscribing is free, so hit that button, touch the bell icon, and be notified of all my videos as and when they get posted, and join the growing community of over 250,000 other trip enthusiasts just like you.
Hello.
And here we are. SAS business class is laid out in a 1-1-2-2 configuration. Odd-numbered rows have paired seats, ideal for people travelling together, but if you're alone, you'll want any even-numbered seat. These are big solo throne seats with extra storage and no seat neighbour, just like mine, 6K. Perfect. This cabin feels both spacious and exclusive at the same time, and is definitely a decent place to be for the long flight over to DC, scheduled to take 9 hours and 30 minutes, including the taxi and holding time today. Lots of you ask about what makes me feel reassured when flying. Well, apart from getting a window seat to check the wings are still there, and my AirTags letting me know my bag made it aboard, and maybe a glass of alcohol, I've always found turbly.com to be useful. It gives accurate predictions of if and when there will be any turbulence on your flight. And today, good news, smooth skies all the way and nothing to worry about. This isn't an ad, I just thought some of you would find this website helpful to relieve some anxiety. Anyway, let's get started. My first pleasant surprise comes straight after takeoff. Some of us are content with old-fashioned forms of in-flight entertainment, but I like my Wi-Fi. And it's free for business class passengers. Just provide your name and booking reference, and you will get free Wi-Fi all flight long, which is excellent. I happen to really like these throne seats. Even though they don't have a door, They're private, they have everything you'd need to want on a 6 to 10 hour flight, and I like how the controls are in sensible places. And I know I harp on about this, but there's storage by the bucket load, which is useful if you carry a lot of stuff about. One thing we'll all find useful though is the overhead vent. Hooray! The table is sturdy and does swivel, but you'll need to be a contortionist or a stick insect to leave the seat with it deployed, which is one of the few downsides to this overall pretty good seat design. It's that exciting time of the flight. We're in the cruise, the trolley's coming down the aisle, and it's time to look at the menu and find out what we're going to eat today. Scandinavian food doesn't occupy the same part of the average British imagination as maybe Thai or Indian or French food, but SAS have put together a very interesting menu for this flight. It's an airline which gets some very hit and miss reviews in my experience, but a superb 3 starters and 4 main courses is pretty ambitious and a lot of choice. This is my first time flying SAS long haul in any class, and I've got to say, I am impressed by the ambition. Oh, and you know how I have to try the airline's signature cocktail? Yeah, let's have a go at the SAS-mopolitan. The things I do in the name of work, hey? Of course, there are more pedestrian options to drink as well, and excellent servings of blue skies, and the sight of Iceland below us. It's kind of hard to tell what's cloud and what's icy glacier though, right? Lunch starts off with, hooray, the right amount of cutlery and a tasty starter. One consistent theme of all the food I had on board this flight was that it all tasted super fresh, and it was served by a really great set of cabin crew. I try to be as unbiased as I can, but the crew can make such a difference to an impression of a flight. For main, I went for the sous vide duck breast. I mentioned in a Delta One review recently there's little point to a reheated sous vide meal, and duck is so easy to ruin, so I was kind of hoping to catch SAS out with this dish. But this was also excellent. Finally, my dessert was an almond and apple tart, and the crew persuaded me to have the iced lolly too. Okay, maybe not persuaded. I'm a sucker for ice cream on planes. All of this was washed down with a 20-year-old cognac, and I have to say, that is one heck of a satisfying lunch. SAS provides a fairly standard amenity kit, and the contents are oriented towards sustainability. See that wooden toothbrush there for an example. And after all that food and drink, maybe it's time to get a bit of rest. It's been a very long travel day already for me, and it's time for me to get a few hours sleep, and now's a good time for me to explain what I paid for this ticket and why it cost so little. A regular one-way, non-stop business class fare from Copenhagen to Washington is over €4,000 per person. But of course, I didn't pay that. Thanks to COVID and cancelled flight vouchers with foreign carriers, I had more money stashed overseas than the House of Lords. And with a fat €1,400 SAS voucher burning a hole in my conscience, I started my ticket in Poland, in Gdansk, and paid just €8 on top of that on an indirect routing. The 4 a.m. alarm and 6 a.m. flight from Gdansk that morning, saving me about €3,000. Nice. The bed is very comfortable, but some people will not get along with the narrow footwell. This is pretty small, but it doesn't stop me from getting a solid 3-hour nap to reset my clock a little for Washington time. The pre-landing snack is well above par. Many airlines cop out with a disappointing burger or a small salad, even in business class, but SAS's open-faced, fresh salmon sandwich is distinctively Scandinavian and a fine antidote for a stodgy lunch. I am So lucky to do what I do. These views are incredible. Northern Quebec at 40,000 feet while having coffee and chocolates is why I love doing this as a hobby, and why I'll always be grateful you guys tune in to help me keep going. In terms of entertainment, SAS is fairly middle of the road. Don't expect as much content as the American carriers, which have this aspect of the experience absolutely cornered. Also, the system seems to be the same as on the A350, as there's a tail cam option that simply doesn't have any function on this A321 aircraft, because there are no cameras installed. It's always fun to fly into Washington DC, and I've done it a couple of dozen times now. Keep an eye out for the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant on the Susquehanna River as you approach. And that's it, we're down safely and on time in DC. So what is it really like flying the world's longest narrow-body flight? I did a poll of my Twitter followers and found that quite a lot of you would not even consider flying long-haul on a narrow-body plane. You just wouldn't touch it. I tend to see narrow-bodies on long-haul as pretty positive, as these replies say they open up new routes that don't justify a wide-body aircraft. I've flown long-haul narrow-bodies before, from luxury business class down to the absolute budget on a 737 MAX, and you know, these routes are super convenient. One thing you should be aware of, narrow bodies tend to have fewer bathrooms. SAS's A330s and A350s, for example, have 1 per 33 passengers, but the A321LR has 1 for every 40, and that will make a difference for some people. I'd fly this SAS narrow body again in a heartbeat. Narrow bodies give a lower carbon footprint and can open up routes and lower prices that wouldn't be possible in a world with only wide-body aircraft. A quick note, this route does go back to a wide body for the busier summer season, but the aircraft also operates long-haul routes like Oslo to Newark and Copenhagen to Boston. Let me know what you think of the SAS A321LR in the comments section below, but that's about it for today. I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.